everyone. Welcome to Cosmic Blueprints here on Critical Mass Radio on a wonderful Wednesday night. Yes, I know we kind of juggle outside the box and Cosmic Blueprints around a bit. Doesn't really matter. You know who it is and you know who we are. So anyway, going to be another fun-filled, fact-filled evening, I'm sure. That I am absolutely sure of. We have joining us tonight Jose Barrera again. And, of course, we're just waiting for Santo. He's on the air right now in Italy with a very large Italian group that is on fire. Oh, they get it. They get it big time. And I have to assure you that with the Papa, stepping down the way he did, that was like throwing a bucket of naphtha on a campfire. And it's quite funny. I was just in on a call with them for about an hour. And just the energy was incredible. So without further ado, I'll hand over the reins to Tony since it's Cosmic Blueprints, where he's the helmsman, and I'm just kind of sitting back with awaiting orders, Captain.
Oh, that's great, Kate. Nice one. No, it's all cool. It's all cool. Just speaking to Jose earlier. Hiya, Jose. How are you going, mate? You all right?
Hey, Tony. Everything good? Hey, how are you guys?
Yeah, rock and roll at this end, mate. Juggling things all over the place, but yeah, it's all good. It's all good for all for a good cause, and we're finally beginning to hit this puppy home. I think there's a lot of people getting it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's like, well, why didn't I see it before? And it's starting to hit home anyway. So all things are there for the right reasons, and that's what it's all about, the right reasons, So, how about you? Have you packed all your boxes? Because you were supposed to be with us a little while ago and you got box packing or something, didn't you? What happened?
Well, as you know, I moved to Sao Paulo, Brazil, like 6 months ago from New York City. And I finally got my container full of junk, basically. Basically, all my furniture and all the stuff for my wife and daughters and all my books and all. But it makes you realize that I lived with all that junk for 6 months, and you realize that you don't need much at the end of the day, right? It's only attachments that you create. But it's nice to have a dining table finally, so I can't complain.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I've traveled the Atlantic a couple of times. Yes, I remember waiting many months for things on both sides. When we went back to Ireland and came back here again. Yeah, so I understand, and it's true. You don't miss those things, and when you have them, you're thinking, how can I live without them? And when you don't have them for a while, you start thinking, why did I really need that? So it's definitely a different perspective. And I'm doing good. I'm hanging in there, kiddo. And it's just great to have you back. And I know Santo is pumped to get on with you as well. So it's going to be definitely an energy-laden show tonight for everyone. So what was I going to say there? Oh, yes, don't forget, you can, for those that want to call in on the landline, you can call in at area code 661-467-2401. And, of course, you can Skype in as well. I'm not sure how much room we're going to have for callers tonight, but hey, listen, guys, you know that there's always room for everyone here. That's kind of the point of why we do this. So, but yeah, where do you guys want to begin?
Well, we had such an incredible show the last time Jose was on with us, and everybody in the chat room was like, "Oh, give us more." But 2 hours into it, and we still got loads of different areas to go. So I kind of would like to leave that up to Jose. I'm not sure if you can remember exactly where we left off last time, Jose, but we were cracking some serious information about how we've been tricked, fooled, and how they've cast the magic spell upon the human race. And that's not a poem, that's literal. So, go from there, go for your life, bowl us over, go for it.
I don't have anything like as a structure last time, right? And we can take this in infinite ways, right? Talk more about money if you want, or we can talk about things out of the map, right? More about language, or we can talk about more hermeticism. Where do you want to take these guys?
Well, I'm always going to lean towards hermeticism only because that's kind of where I live. We did have a little chat earlier. You were mentioning about one of the shows that we had done regarding Black's Magic Law Book, and I've done a bunch of shows on that. We did that for a couple of weeks. A lot of stuff was unfolding. As a matter of fact, there was a document called The Invocation of the Cross that I put together that was gotten solely by that method, where it was following rabbit after rabbit after rabbit, and it's quite an easy book to read if you're in the present moment of now. To put it in layman's terms, it's like this: we are going back to the future from whence we came, because everything that we have around us is past. It's already built, right? It's already been done. It is past. So what we're doing is we're living in the present moment from the future to the past, and we're moving. We went way. If you think of it like a rubber band, that rubber band got stretched way back, depending on how big a game we wanted, way back, and now it's slow, very quickly. And now it's kind of the mirror of how it works, but now it's very slowly moving forward. I use the analogy of a cuckoo clock. When you want to get a cuckoo clock wound up, you have to pull the metal weights down, and pull them down rather quickly. And of course, over the span of 3 or 4 days, those counterweights that you've raised up to the top are now slowly moving down. We're doing that in reverse. So we're in that stage of the clock being reset, and present means to be sent ahead, right? That's why when you live in the present, that's how we pronounce it, but it's actually 2 words, present. It was already sent to you. So we're living in the now of something that was pre-sent to us from the future, and we're just moving our way back up. Think of it like a yellow brick road with Hansel and Gretel picking up breadcrumbs all the way. So the game is to find your breadcrumbs. And what we do with that is we, just be in the now, see things that happen around you. You might see a truck drive by with something on the side of it. Go look it up in blacks. Now the word may not be there, but you will find the word that where it should be, and you look as above, so below. Criticism, and you'll be amazed at what you find. You will be utterly amazed. I mean, even that document, I was focused heavily on a cartoon series called Gravity Falls, where every one of the clues was in there. It was mind-boggling, and we're talking time travel, we're talking everything. It's all there if you can see it. Those with eyes to see, ears to hear. So hopefully that explains a little bit, Jose, as to what I was referring to. It's very esoteric and very much outside the box for most people. I mean, it makes sense to me. It works. That's why. So it's anyway. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit for you. So let's stay on the Hermeticism side of things. With Santo coming in, we're definitely going to get into the astrotheological Hermeticism, and I can hardly wait to get you guys just going off each other. It's going to be awesome.
Excellent. No, that guy knows so much, man. It's an honor to be around him. I learned so much from him, so it will be very interesting. One of the fascinating things to me, right, is how when we were chatting about this a little bit before this afternoon, is how it's manifestation and how things manifest in reality. And I think a big part for Hermeticism is the laws of manifestation, is how things come to be. And one amazing thing is how new thoughts and creativity arises in memory. And it's something that has nothing to do with reason, because reason only prescribes what is already there. But creation comes from the chaos, right? Order out of chaos, and that's the subconscious. So it's fascinating when you have eureka moments and you get moments of insight where you get ideas and they come out of nowhere. And I found that the more you practice this, right, creativity is like a muscle, that the more you practice it and the more you try to have novel ideas, then the easier it becomes. And part of that is breaking the resistance that you have on your preconceptions. So we have all this knowledge that is already sedimented, and is basically creativity is forgetting those artificial barriers that we create around us, and then you get these novel ideas that come out of nowhere, and some of them are junk, and most of them are junk, and but some of them are really valuable. And so I think it's the what I'm saying is the loss of manifestation is a big part of what magic is and what Hermeticism is, and how you conceive an idea. It comes out of the blue moon, right out of the ether, and how it materializes and becomes something in reality. Mm, and this process is one of the things that I find that are really fascinating. And if you see the Kabbalah and many Hermetical arts, they're about how to make things happen in reality, right? Magic is the same thing, right? How do you manifest entities, right? Supernatural entities, or what we were talking. In the case of creativity, and this is one of the things that you don't have today in education, right? Is that you, and we alluded to this and we talked a little bit about this last time, is that we are only training the right side of the brain all the time. But that side, what it does, right, is it formalizes, it gives form in 3D to the ideas, but the ideas never come from. So, and you can always see this, right? Like you have all these very good students that are very quick to answer any question that the teacher says, right, asks, but they don't come up with new creative ideas. Now, I think it's a balance, right? Because you can have many ideas, but the other problem is when you manifest ideas is that they're consistent in reality. And our 3D reality has very strict rules that operate, and they're the natural laws, right? And you cannot violate those rules. And any idea that you form that you want to be able to be manifested in reality, it has to conform to natural law, to the rules of nature. Because if they don't, then the idea is weak, and then it disappears, it fades out. And then part of the subversion of the system that we live on today is exactly that, right? I think a lot of the deterioration that we have in the society today is because it doesn't conform to natural law. Because we have created this system, alternative system of artificial laws, and we try to operate on that wishful thinking world, but it's outside natural law. So a good idea, a solid idea, in order to stay around for a long time, has to be founded in natural law. And I think one of the advantages that we have today, right, and is that this system of this secondary system on top of reality that we have created of magical thinking and wishful thinking and all these laws made by man and based on coercion and all this, is that it's based on deception, because it's out of the truth, of reality. So it takes a long and a big effort as part of the people that run the system in order to sustain this, right? So they have to create indoctrination camps, and you're a baby, and you have to be bombarded with propaganda all your life in order to maintain you in the cage. But you see, the effort is enormous in order to maintain the system, because the beauty of the truth, right, is that is self-reinforced by reality and is self-evident. So I think the way I finished the show last time was by saying that the truth is simple and is self-evident, and I think it alludes to that, right? Like when you have something that is true, you know it with your heart because it's right in front of you and it's evident, and it's one of those moments where you say like, why I didn't think about that before, right? And you know it's true. You have to think it more because is self-evident. So the manifestation of things in reality, to me, has to follow that path. Otherwise, it's not gonna fly, right? And you need a bigger effort, like what we see around, in order to maintain a society based on lies, which is what we have. And then when the truth comes, right, it's very simple. It takes down the lies because it takes no effort to spread the truth. The problem is, and that's why you have all this effort to react emotionally around these topics, right? Because what you want to do is you want to hide the truth from plain sight, because it's in front of you, right? By creating all these blinders that are artificial, like emotions, complexes around ideas, right? So I don't know, something like yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I totally agree. There was a couple of very important points you touched on there when you were talking about conjuring the supernatural. We have the choice, and we have both angels and demons within each of us. It's our choice of which one we conjure to the surface. And when you're talking of natural law, because yes, when you go in defiance of natural law, you don't expect things to work out too well. Now, that being said, what they have done, one of my epiphanies was seeing how well they mimicked natural law, getting it close enough in a man-made legal sense to a natural law where the intention could be misconstrued because someone wasn't, for lack of a better word, intelligent enough to see, beyond that lie that they've smeared over the real law. And in that, with such a close mimicry of natural law, there is, of course, when consent is given, that's free will choice, and that's what they're after. They want the free will choice on this. But once you see the deception, I used in that invocation document. I used one prime example called the Ward of Admiralty, how it was mimicking, procreation itself, and making, the semen, which what the word is. It's it could be the procreation fluid, or it can be someone sailing on a boat. Okay, the Ward of Admiralty, the sea, of course, the seaman is always considered the beneficiary because of a perceived inequitability in the contract with the mother. All right, so or the fiduciary, because as the example here it is. What you have there is a legal definition that mimics the reality of natural law. Yes, when a mother and father get together, there is a contract, an agreement to have a child. In some cases not, but obviously if you're a consenting adult, you're consenting to something. So what happens there is, if a child comes out of that contract union, the mother now spends the next 9 months constructing that, quote, trust, unquote. You see how they mimic it, right? And the father, not being part of that construction, just merely the conception or the idea, is actually in a lesser standing because it is the mother that builds the child. So what they've done in the legal sense is they've made the father the beneficiary because he can't be the fiduciary. That's fiduciary is the one that builds the actual vessel, right? So that's there is a perceived inequitability there. And that's how they've done it. So, I mean, there is one prime example of a legal, bullshit man-made law slapped right on top of natural procreation law between consenting male and female. So, I mean, these are just some of the things. There's lots of examples of that. I just found that one to be the best and the most blatantly obvious.
Can I actually pick another example on that? I don't want to use that particular example because if I was to pick any example whereby that law would occur, I would turn around and not say, well, it's the name. Because if you are consenting to be the name, thinking you are the name, when the name has actually been registered, given over to the king, you are in fraud because you're using somebody else's property fraudulently, the name being the property. So that also would be a case of trickery whereby you're thinking you're right because you're using the name, it's my name, blah, 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 blah. No, it's not. It was actually registered, and therefore you have then subject to universal law trickery, as another really quick example.
Yeah, an act of magic, right? Because three ideas show up to me from there. First is that we are naturally, right? We are in tune with the truth. So we're beings that that naturally, instinctively look at the truth. So in order for them to fool you, two things have to happen, right? Like the charlatans always say 90% of what they say is true, and then they slip in the poison right at the very end. But in order to appeal to you, they have to show you something that is true. So they couldn't come up with something completely out of the wacko moon, right? And say, this is what we're going to do, because people wouldn't buy it. Because we're naturally attuned with the truth. That's one. The second one, right, is, and think about this, is that the fact that they always have to justify with goodness what they're doing is a very good thing, because it means that we instinctively, humans, are good creatures, are creatures of goodness. Because you see, the dictators or they always have to justify as a good cause what they're doing. So you see, the system, it always tells you that what they're doing is for your good, right? That they're doing it for the good of other people, or for the good of the children, which is one that you always use, right? Or protection, or anything that is. They cannot come out and say, we're evil, because people automatically would reject it, because nobody acts as an evil person up front. So to me, that's something that gives you a lot of hope, right? Like the idea that they have to justify with morals, right, and with the good their actions, because it means at the end of the day it has to prevail, because it's what it is. It's what appeals to people. And then the third one is you call the fallacies, right? They're always this appeal to emotions. So every time you present something in the realm of truth, or then what you do is you mistake it with emotions, and then you hide it behind emotions. So that's the third point I wanted to make regarding this. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different examples. It's wow. But yeah, absolutely. This is the trickery. They're bloody clever at it, and they've been doing it for so long. But that's one just sort of one basic example. Can you think of any others along those lines to give us a completely different perspective on the same thing?
Well, here, I'll jump in for a sec, because Tony and I had talked. I want to get your perspective on this. So that we were talking earlier today, and yes, we are inherently good. That is our Achilles heel, if you will, because that's what gets preyed upon. We naturally trust those around us because we do not go out of our way to harm others. That is not our modus operandi, and it is that naivety that they prey upon. And when I was talking with Tony earlier today, isn't it funny that if everyone was psychic, you would sense that evil immediately? And that's why, to me, language in the first place that became exterior, physical, in this particular 3D realm, became the real trap, because in the words people could be deceived, whereas in the trueness of heart, or that psychic aspect of being able to intuitively feel people, we all have that ability. We know, you've all experienced it. You've been in a room and someone walks in and you just you look at them and you just don't like them. Then we'll trust your instincts, because there's a reason for that. They have a malintent, and it is oozing from them. And this is exactly what's happening now with the worldwide vibrations coming up. Is now we're sensing that more and more of the people around us, and the ones that are trying to pull the tricks are getting exposed to a level that they don't even have to open their mouth now, and they're not trusted. So the guards, goes way up, and then of course these people are get avoided and shunned, and then they have to go into themselves and see which are they conjuring demons, or are they conjuring the angels within, and that's how I see it. So I saw language as the perfect separation from the spiritual, and that was the deception to begin with, because it can be utilized in that regard.
Right, and if you think about it, that's the legend of the fall, right? It's exactly that. Eating from the tree of good and evil, right, is when you decide to paint things in black and white, right? So when you create language, every word that you put out, at that point what you did is you split the world in two. So if you say table, at the moment that you name something table, you divided the universe into two, what is a table and what is not a table. So you created duality right there, and that's the fault, right? It's the creation of good and evil, which is that metaphor. But the funny thing is that that's what makes us humans, right? So we cannot conceive this act that we're having now, right? This communal act of language or community without language. Language is an expression of community. So I don't see it as something, and again, it's you're falling on that again, right? If it's good or evil. Language simply is what we are, right? And I don't know, you imagine a giraffe, one of the properties that they have is that they have a long neck. So is that good or is evil? Well, it depends, right? Like it has properties that are systemic, that may give weaknesses and strengths to the giraffe, and depending on the case, then it can be used for the advantage of the giraffe because they can reach the highest trees, right? Or because of their mere size, they need more food, and a little raccoon has an advantage on that. So it depends on the context, right? Now, and I think the question is meaningless. I think at the end of the day, that's the starting point, is we have language, right? And then it has weaknesses and it has strengths. It gives us the ability to dream, which is something unbelievable, right? Like the idea we can create worlds without having to go through the process of materializing them. So imagine how quick we can create alternatives. And then through the laws of manifestation, we can implant them and make them happen in the 3D world. So the fact that we can dream futures that are different makes us different than the birds that have been tweeting on the trees for millennia or millions of years, and they can't help but do that forever. We have novelty in our hands because we have this very quick way to create alternatives to reality, and then if they conform to natural law, then we can instantiate them and make them happen. So that's a beautiful thing. But with the ability to dream and the ability to create language comes again the ability to lie. So you can create you can exploit people by using language as well. So it has both sides, right? And the idea, I think, is we have to learn about language and what it is and its weaknesses, so we can protect about it. One of the big myths that we have, and I don't know if we touched about this the last time, that in the last conversation, is the idea that we have no predators, which is quite ludicrous, right? Like we learn in school, oh no, we're at the top of the food chain, and then we're the king of the world, and then humans have no predators. But imagine that you have zebras that grew diluted into the idea they have no predators. The first thing that an animal in the wild learns is how to survive against its predators. And guess what? We have predators. The problem with our predators is they're very sneaky because they look like us. So, and because we're innocent, right? And we're like the white lamb, right? And so you have the little zebra that goes and plays around in the savannah, right? Because they're innocent and they're not thinking about the predators. But the grown-ups know better, and then they take care of that. So because the exploitation of this idea of innocence, right, is one of the first things that predators do. They take the distracted animal that is just having water and attack them, right, because they're not thinking about the predators. So when we don't have the capacity and we never learn that we have predators, then we don't act upon them, and then they can predate on us. And I think that's a big problem that we have, is that and then the predators we have, they dress like our saviors and the people that are taking care of us and keeping us safe, which is a biggest paradox, right? If you think about it, it's a recipe for extinction, because what we're doing is we're trusting the wolves to protect us.
In sheep's clothing.
Exactly, and we're happy to give our children to them, so they educate them, right? And we look at their entertainment system and look at the word entertainment where it comes, and we live by their rules, right? But it's the rules of the predators. So any other species in the planet is completely upside down. And now the beauty, and I think this is what is happening, right? Is that in the last 10 years, there is this explosion of people that are realizing what is going on, and I think that's the hope we have, and because at the end, this idea that humans have no predators is the worst disservice we can do to children. Because then they get the predators on top, and then they prey on them.
Yeah, the one thing I do want to add to that, it's not only do we have the predators, and the parents are not teaching to this degree. What we are doing, in fact, is telling the children that the predators are the ones to protect us, namely, the police and the governments and the churches and what have you. I mean, these are all the elements of our supposed society that we were supposed to look up to as being part of the better aspect in terms of wanting to do better for others, where in fact they're the ones that are the wolves, that are the predators, they're literally parasites. And I mean, you're right about extinction. Here's the thing, a parasite is self-destructive in that it will prey on its host until the host is dead. Then the parasite itself, it either has to find another host or it itself dies. So it's a completely contrary to creation paradigm that we're in here. And what we're doing now is finally waking up to the fact that I'm not really into having parasites feeding on me. And that's really what it boils down to. It's taking the responsibility back upon self. And, this is not to walk around being paranoid, going, being afraid of everything and everyone. No, not at all. What this is to be vigilant and, start trusting your intuitions, your epiphanies, these beautiful moments of realization. Do not ignore them. That is your higher self. That is you in a more pure sense, keeping an eye out for you. So again, you're right, Jose. In the last 10 years or so, this planet has been undergoing a major shift in that regard, where it's like, think about it. Anyone that is, and I'll be blunt, anyone that is dumb enough to vote for someone that's saying the same thing the last politician said they do and didn't, deserves exactly what they get. And I don't want to sound cruel with that, but again, that's insanity. That let's keep voting politicians in that we know are going to screw us over, raise taxes to foment more wars, create more destruction, all in the name of a benefit that we're trying to help you. Are you kidding me? You can help everyone on this planet, governments of the world, by taking apart all those war machines and devices of death and destruction. They like selling the whole notion that most of the greatest inventions came out because of war. You can sell me that bullshit all day long, and I'll tell you, no, because most of the weapons that are garnered by these parasites are the net results of someone trying to do something for humanity, and it gets subverted. So again, be mindful, follow your heart.
It's also this thing as well about the human, that men or women or humans have no predators. Well, of course we have predators. If you want to go out into the middle of the Serengeti on your own without a gun or any protection, what do you think is going to be one of the first things? It could be, it could be a lion or a lioness, or it could be a rhinoceros, or it could be an elephant. It could be any one of these things. Could come and take you out straight away.
An insect, a scorpion.
Well,
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
but,
I totally
but
agree.
what I'm doing is using the most obvious answers first before I'm getting to my point. The point is, you can go into the Canadian mountains and then you're looking at bears. You can go out into the jungle and then you're looking at crocodiles. So as for the human race hasn't got a predator, it has got predators. They've just lulled you into a false sense of security, thinking, number one, the human race doesn't have predators, which is patently wrong to start with. And number two, it doesn't identify the fact that the human being is its own predator. In other words, the people that you allow to take control of your canvas, if you like, Kate, will be the ones that are your predators. They are predatory. And this is why paedophiles are predatory psychopaths, basically. But it's the same sort of thing. It's just another example.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And if you think about it, you don't even need scary animals or scorpions or any of these things to get rid of you. Just the elements. And if you think about it, we are the first species in the world that doesn't know how to survive on our own. And we are creating a recipe for disaster, for extinction, because the day tomorrow that the power grid goes out, right? How are we gonna heat our houses? We don't know how to make fire. We don't know how to grow our own food. We depend and rely on all this network of external network to our survival today. And people have in their houses, they keep wine and nice cheeses and things like that. And what about water, right? Is the basic the day-to-day subsistence? We don't know how to provide for that anymore. I don't know how to grow food. And you think about it in the recession, right? In the depression of the 30s, the majority of the people still at that point live in farms and they had gardens and they grew their own food.
Yeah.
Today, we live in these centers with highly populated centers that depend on all these networks that bring food and this exchange system based on funny money. And we the day that stops, what you have is 10 or 20 million peoples in a center without food, right? Who don't know how to feed themselves or how to make a fire, for Christ's sake. Nothing.
Exactly.
So imagine what's going to happen the day the system has a glitch and stops for a moment, right?
Well,
and imagine if that's sustained.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the beauty of this system that they've managed to construct. If we want water, we turn the tap on. If we want food, we go to the shop. If we want entertainment, we turn on the TV. You want warmth, you flick a switch and turn the heater on. And everything, we've been lulled into a complete and utter rockabye baby situation, whereby you forgot how to farm, you forgot how to light fires, collect wood, and all the rest of it. And all these things that we depend on being out in the wild, we've been weaned off. And it's basically put us into a deliberate situation whereby we're going to be totally defenseless. Because in the event of something like a solar flare, just for example, knocks out the electricity grid, well, your freezer goes down, well, your food goes down, you've got no heat, you've got no warmth, you've got no light, your central heating turns off. You're wondering about, you've probably got a pack of candles if you're really lucky. And there's hordes of people that are starving out there when they've raided all the shops. So, I mean, they've led us straight into a perfect blooming setup situation, where we've got to be, mindful of all this sort of situation. Because it wouldn't happen out there in the reality of the world, without houses and heating and electricity and all this stuff. So we've been set up right and proper, to be honest. And the quicker we realise it, the quicker we stand a chance of doing something about it before it goes even further out of whack. But yeah, I completely agree.
Totally, and I think that's the problem of magical thinking is exactly that. That when you wish for a star, and then your dreams come true, then your discipline stops because you have to work to get things done. So when the state provides you with health and education, and they tell you what you have to think and all this. What they're creating is a race of handicapped people. And if you think that the monetary system that we have, I think that the most pervasive thing that inflation has is not the destruction of value and that people become poor. Yeah, that's a tragedy, but that's not the point. I think the worst part is that people lose discipline because they got used to easy money. So when I get used to easy credit, I don't work anymore, and then I don't send my children to study anymore, and then because they don't need to, and then at the end, what I did is I destroyed the capacity of people to be self-reliant, right? Because now I depend on these external systems. So I think that the corruption of the system, right? The worst part is that it destroys the basic subsistence of people and creates handicapped people. So when you have socialism and you have all these collectivist systems, right, where the state provides for everything to people, and when money grows out of trees, right, and it's given to you by, you get the welfare check every month and so on, then people stop knowing how to subsist. And I think that's the biggest thing, is you created these animals that are completely defenseless against any glitch in the system. And in the future, what you create is you doom people to extinction. So, but that's what was the name of this woman from the, oh man, I'm losing the, that you have to kill people with kindness. Beatrix, what's her name? It will come to me. But basically, the idea,
I'm thinking Beatrix Potter at this point, but I just wanted to jump in and let you that Santa was in the
society,
call.
Right?
Yes.
The fate of society. The idea that you can kill people by taking them to war, or you can kill them with kindness. And the idea is exactly that. What you create is people that don't know they're beasts because they don't know anything, and all they expect is to be fed. And look, the term society has now, and the state and statistics have to for us is we're the consumers, which is absurd. I mean, imagine that. But that's, at the end of the day, that's what we are. So it's a quite sad story at the end of the day, right? Now the beauty and I think the hope is the other side of this, right? Like the last time we had an information spreading mechanism, like it was a printing press. Look, the world shift and the power shift dramatically, right? It was not good enough to change the mentality of people and create a society of self-sustainable people, right? And people that were self-reliable people, but took us a long way, right? Like it ended the domination of the church for 1,500 years or 1,400 years, and now look at what is happening now with the internet, right? Like if printing typos was able to have that tectonic shift, imagine an information system like this, which, by the way, I think is fragile than the books, right? Like this thing could go down tomorrow and disappear forever, right? This ability that we have now of being able to communicate like this, right? Because it relies on the grid and on society working, and the internet relies on all these corporations that provide the mechanism and the infrastructure, right? And never forget that the internet was created by DARPA, right? So it's a state project basically, but in a way we have a small window of opportunity to wake up, and I think that's a beautiful thing. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but it's something that we cannot imagine, and that's the beauty of it, right? It's totally something new that has to arise, because the hierarchies work on the premise of this equilibrium on information, right? So when you have an imbalance of information, then I can run a hierarchy. But as soon as information becomes democratic, right, and everybody has access to information, it has to stop. I cannot have a professor or a teacher in a school saying whatever he wants without being questioned by a kid with an iPhone in the class. So that immediately destroys all the hierarchies that we have, right? And it's something that it doesn't have to be prescribed, right? It's not something that we have to train for. With the system brings the seed of its own destruction inside, and it's organic, and that's why I think it's going to work. And I'm sure it's going to work. It's because this thing is organic and it's unstoppable in that regard.
Well said. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, this is a perfect opportunity to bring Santo in then, in terms of what the future holds with regards to astrotheology, which is the perfect hermetic science to begin with. Yeah, Santo, a great call, by the way. Lots of beautiful information with the Italian.
Yep. Yeah, thanks for joining us too. That was great to have Kevin, Annette, Bob from One People Trust. Bob's doing a great job with documents. Bob is very similar to me, big Jehovah's Witness background. Oh, by the way, sorry, Jose, ¿qué tal, hombre?
Santos, what a pleasure to hear you, man.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. I feel rude now. How you going, brother?
Hey, very good. Thank you. My day is sunnier when I hear from you, man. It's very good to hear you.
Yeah, and likewise. And I'm listening to your stuff, and you really are, you're lifting it up to another notch. So I'm enjoying that. Good on you. Fantastic. From the first presentation you did with Jan, how long ago was that?
It was like 2 years ago, probably. I think.
Yeah. It's getting along really good. So, but anyway, Kate, what I was saying there is that they're moving along really, really nice. Bob has a very similar background to me. He was a Jehovah's Witness for many years, and then he started questioning things, So he's also got a very sort of a detective type approach to all of this. He questions everything, and he's really behind People's Trust, making legal documents and templates, and just getting it out on Facebook, getting the word out. Hey, everybody, we are free. Corporations do not exist anymore. They have been trumped, and we do have an actual lawful claim against them. When you operate with anyone like in costumes, police officers, etc., notify them, put them on notice that it will be you and me dealing. I need your name, because you're not working for anybody. It doesn't exist anymore. It's you and me, buddy. You hurt me, and then you'll have to take the responsibility one-on-one. And that's how you treat these faces and these corporations from now on, people. It's time to say goodbye and no to the monster, and party on. Let us have a nice party of love and joy and bliss. It was wonderful to see how all those remedies came together. Kevin Annett, who is actually taking practical steps to, on March the 21st, starting on my birthday, March the 24th, to Holy Sunday, a week later, and that's pretty ominous too. I was born on a Sunday, March the 24th, 50 years ago, so, but on the 24th, Kevin Annett's organisation is going to start occupying properties of the Catholic Church. And why would you do that? Well, because they are funded by taxpayer money. So we own the darn things anyway. And besides, we have a further incentive and reason, a great cause to do so, because criminals are occupying those buildings. We have evidence that they protect pedophiles. That's what the Catholic Church is all about. Property grabbers, pedophilia, corruption, money collecting, money laundering. They are out. and on the 24th of March, my birthday, I turn 50, we're going to party, we're going to reclaim all of our property that they stole in the first place, and give it to those little kiddies and see if they can't buy some food to eat down in Africa. That'll be nice.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
Brilliant.
How are you planning to do this, Santos?
Well, we've got the law beside us. Number one, the people's... punch in these words, Jose. People's Trust 1976.org. I'll get you up to scratch with that, up to date with all of that that's going on. But these people, a group of three people, perfected a superior claim to all of the Vatican's claims, because what they did was they perfected a procedure, a 28-day procedure, whereby you accuse the authorities of all the things that they're up to. All of them. We know what they are, and they know they are. They know what they're doing. So you accuse them in public, you put that out. I forget the avenues they used, but they accused the Vatican and the Bilderbergers and all of these entities with crimes against humanity, blah, blah, blah. Put it out all over the place. There was no... what's the word?
Rebuttal?
Rebuttal. There was no rebuttal, nothing. Not a word, nothing put in writing, no authority dumping up saying, hang on, wait a minute, that's not true. So that claim was perfected in 28 days. So then they defaulted them and noticed them that we have a new trust. Because the trust that has operated the system since 1302, the first express trust to ever be created by Pope Boniface VIII, called Unum Sanctum, that is the one that they went after. That papal bull is now terminated. So we have that, Jose, and we have Kevin Annett, who is leading many organisations that many countries are supporting, that we are going to occupy Catholic properties, churches, cathedrals, all of the property, which belongs to us anyway, because it comes from our money. We're going to occupy them and take them off the criminal empire. So we're going to go in there, and we will notice and notify the police officers, if they come in the aid of the Catholic Church, that they are not working for any corporation that really exists, and we have proof of that. And we have all the documents. We're going to have all of this, and we will be an army of warriors, not soldiers of mercenaries and paid thugs, but warriors of light. And all we will do is teach with love and law and enlighten these costume types and everybody that costumes don't exist anymore. The only thing that exists is God's loving universe. And we are God, and the universe is God, and everything is God. Because if we don't come from that platform and perspective, then everything is divided. And then controllers will creep in, and we will not let them. We know and have put them on notice that the divinity has woken up, and the divinity is a oneness. There's no more names, there's no more titles, there's no more Mr. Santo Bonacci. Were you speeding on January the 4th? In court. There won't be none of this crock of shit going on anymore. These are all plays where actors turn up. No more of this, these scenarios of morons, of the bar, foreign agents, stealing money from our pockets because they know how to, and putting kids in jail because they get a lot of money from kickbacks from putting kids in jail. And
are you expecting many kicking and screaming back from these 2,000-year organization that have their ways to do things and so on? Like, are you expecting any? Do you think they're gonna go down quietly, or what's your expectation?
Well, Jose, I think they've seen the writing on the wall. A lot of them are jumping ship like rats. They know that's why Ratzinger has resigned, because the punishment is worse if you're still in office. When you're in office, you are the officer that is invested in all of the crimes. So he's thinking, hang on a minute, there's a whole bunch of people that have got arrest warrants from me. I wonder whether any of those have perfected their arrest warrants, have really got serious claims. Because some of them, they know that behind some of those arrest warrants are real claims. These are real arrest warrants. These are not pretend ones from the Freemasons that do it for the media, as a show, as if they're, they go through the process of processing one of their own and then they let them out the back door. No. These are real warrants, real ones. And the Pope knows it, so he's saying, I think I might get a better guillotine and electric chair if I'm not in office at the time. And I think the cardinals know it too. I don't think there will be many people that are going to jump and shout and kick up and say, no, let the pedophile inquisitional Catholic Church continue to exist. Oh, we need it. I think there's not many people left. There's not many idiots around anymore, except for a few Catholics that are still around. And as much as I love them, and they are my brothers, they're nothing but a bunch of idiots, morons, supporters of pedophilia, people who give money to pedophile institutions, accomplices.
I agree. The problem is that they're 1 billion, right? I agree with everything you're saying, but they're 1 billion.
Yeah, true. Well, don't underestimate, Jose. Don't underestimate the critical mass. They too are our brothers, okay? And I look at myself 10 years ago, and I was in that bunch. I was a Jehovah's Witness coming to your door saying, "You are from the devil. What's all this?" So hopefully the consciousness will reach them. I'm pretty positive. I think. Well, I know that there is the potential for pure bliss tomorrow, today, yesterday, now.
Santos, that's fascinating. Can I ask you a question? How did you woke up from the Jehovah's Witnesses? Can you talk a little bit about that process, that internal struggle and all that? How did that happen?
Well, I think I had too much cognitive dissonance, Jose. In my heart, I knew there was another truth. And yet, the analytical, left brain, linear, sequential truth that was pumped into me, because I was looking for the path, was the one that I agreed to believe in. See, when you believe in God, watch out which God it is, because there are many gods. There are many logoses. We are gods. There are a level of gods above us, and they all go back to cause. And even though we were created by cause, there will always be intermediary logoses in between us and God that will want a piece of the action. That's called the demiurge. And they can get a piece of the action if they do it honourably, and if they do it in our ignorance. But when we wake up, they are required to step aside. And that's what it means to be a sovereign, because when you look in the scriptures, check out Revelation, where it says, "And then 1,000 years will rule, and there will be peace, and they will rule as kings and priests." Well, let's have a look at those two words. King means to be a sovereign in the true sense of the word, and priest means to be divine. And isn't that what we are? Aren't we sovereign individuals and divine? So that's what's happening. It's happening. The scripture is being fulfilled. We are finding our sovereignty, so we're becoming kings. We are finding our divinity and waking up to it, so we are fulfilling that half of the scripture too. And in astrology, there are two axes. There's the cardinal cross has two axes, the solstitial and the equinoctial. The equinoctial, of course, obviously, the lamb and the scales, have to do with religion and ecclesiastical concerns. And Capricorn and Cancer, of course, the solstitial axis, has to do with political and governmental concerns. Now, and that's it. That's the sheep and the goats, Capricorn and Aries. That's the right brain and the left brain. That's your that's everything. It's the king and the priest. The priest is the lamb and the king is the goat. He rules the zodiac. And that's why all Gospels start either in Aries or Capricorn. Matthew and Luke start in Capricorn with an infant baby Jesus, and Mark and John start at Mars, at Aries with a fully grown Jesus. So they go around and around. The ecclesiastical and the political. The ecclesiastical and the political. So you need to watch those angular cardinal signs. And if you notice, Pluto is going to be in Capricorn for the next 20 years, and Uranus is going to be in Aries for the next 6 years. Whoops. That means the two destroyers, Uranus is revolutionary and destructive and rebellious and individual. Pluto is transformative and destructive. So they bring total transformation to these two axes for the rest of the next decade. So that's basically how it happens. The consciousness that is required is here now. Jupiter is finished. Zeus sent his last thunderbolt to the Vatican on the February 11th, just hours before the Pope resigned, because Zeus is Jupiter, the thunderbolt god, and he ruled Pisces, and he was only effective in Pisces. Pisces is gone. Jupiter's power is diminished. So Jupiter has left the building, and that was his notification. He sent the thunderbolt to the Vatican to tell people, there's a new ruler in town, and it's Uranus and Saturn, Jupiter's grandfather and father. So anyway, sorry to do all that, but answer the question quite comprehensively. But I realise it's your show, Jose. So continue.
No. I'm fascinated, man. This is beautiful. So tell me a little bit about Ratzinger, because I heard he resigned, right? But what you're telling me is news to me. It's so awesome. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh yeah, my friend. See, most people are coming from the perspective of those arrest warrants. We have information that there is not just one. There's more, but we don't know how many. But there's at least one perfected common law arrest warrant. They want his ass, and they're going to get it because that warrant is a real one. It's not one of those ones where sheriffs come around with these little bits of paper that aren't even signed, let alone a judge who is on his oath at the time of signing the warrant. These are not real warrants. These are just bits of scary paper. But the warrant that the Pope has got, that's real, and that's why he is jumped the ship. But I'm coming from the astrological perspective from above, and with that information about Uranus and Jupiter. See, this is what the Pope said. The BBC said this, that he is resigning from office due to not being adequately exercising his Petrine ministry. Now, you being Hispanic, you know what Petra means. Petrine, the rock, Peter, Jupiter, Zeus, the one that sent the bolt just hours before the agent of Peter, the Church of Peter, resigned. Both of them have resigned. As above, so below. It happens like that. It's just that people aren't noticing. When you notice these things, you'll see as above, so below. Zeus has left the building. Uranus now, see, Uranus is the Christ. In astrotheology, in all legendary works, you see, if you are a rishi or a teacher or an ascended one, and you've done a lot of work with your oil, your chrism, you can actually see Uranus. Most people can't see Uranus. I thought I could see it once. You can actually see Uranus, but you've got to be outside of the city. And I haven't been out in the country for years, so I'm in Melbourne, and you can't do this. But if you're really good and you've done your pineal, your work, you can see Uranus, the Christ. Now, in Scripture, there's Christ comes and Christ returns. There's two comings. There's a second coming. Now, the second coming happened in 1781 when Uranus was discovered, quote unquote, by Herschel. In fact, some people still call Uranus Herschel. Now, with that discovery, the world was, so excited, because what happened shortly thereafter was the French Revolution, the American Revolution, and then 100 years later, the Russian Revolution. The Uranus, just the fact that we became aware of this Christ-like orb, again, we remembered him. He returned to our consciousness. That was the return of the Christ, signaling the fact that very soon thereafter, in just a little over 200 years, he would return in his sign of Aquarius. And so that is the second coming. But the first coming was when Pisces began, because that's when Zeus, or Jupiter Zeus, we call him Jesus, started ruling in 4 BCE. You see?
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. And the calendar that we base that on is the JC calendar. And in fact, it's called, we call the common era Anno Dominis, the year of the Lord. Which Lord? Zeus. Rome is all about Zeus. Everywhere you go, you see Zeus. You go down to Egypt.
Yeah, Peter.
Yeah, Peter.
Jupiter. Yeah.
Exactly. And we've been paying for it in terms of Peter's pence, and the donation of Constantine. Hop on Google and find out what that is, folks. That will get you stirred up. The donation of Constantine. And you'll see how fictitious this IRS and Federal Reserve and all these crock of shit alphabet agencies are really all about, man. We've been duped. We have been duped. We need to reclaim our own government, govern our own minds. Because there's only two kinds of governments. Governments that serve you, like a good little government should. Do this, do that. And they should be volunteered, in the main, getting funded by industry and not individuals from their sweat. They should keep that money. And this is how they have basically tricked us. Now, let's not lay any blame, and let's not be bitter, because maybe that system, and it's a pretty good system actually. The only crime I see, you may disagree with this, and people do disagree. This is just an opinion, and I don't deal in opinions very often. But my opinion is, as Winston Shrout and Dean Clifford agree, at least I've got those guys. But I think that the system's great as long as two things happen. It's not run on debt, because it's debt fiat currency that the benefit goes totally to the banksters, as you were talking about before, Jose. And secondly, that we all know how this straw man works, so that we can go into court and say, oh yeah, that's my bill. Here you go. Let me discharge that one. Thank you very much, Judgy Poos, and I'm glad I pay you to do a good job. You keep on administrating. I'm out there doing the free stuff. See you, mate. And the system should work. We can keep our little paper system. You know, it doesn't need to go to the Pope. See, that's why the papacy, PayPal, and all of that poo-poo, papa, daddy, hierarchy words, it's all finished. There's a new paradigm.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can tell.
Something else.
I've been fired up with the Italians for 4 hours, can't you?
I know you can tell. I just wanted to bring something else there, just to reinforce it. When you talk about Unum Sanctum 1302, I don't think people are really grasping the entirety of the scope and magnitude of that one little statement. You see, because what people need to understand is that being the first express trust that was ever created, the entire legal system was built on it. Everything that you're dealing with in the corporate sense, because we're dealing with Lex Mercentorium, this is all corporate UCC nonsense that's been going on since then. When you do, that's the reason why Santo, you and I and others, Tony, made very specific reference to that express trust in being the original enslavement of humanity. And with what's being exposed right now with Opt and so many others, I mean, everyone's doing their part. You've got Sunky Temple Trust, you've got Opt, you've got Kevin Annette's work, you've got what we're doing, Winston Shroud, all, Dean, Mark, everyone has had a finger in this bowl to stir this pot, if you will. But I need people to really understand the magnitude of what Santos said earlier with them, trumping unum sanctum. What they've done, in essence, what resonates with me is they've trumped the entire legal system and everything that was built upon that first express trust. I did get another little piece of information in, by the way, and this is interesting. Tony, maybe you can help me out here. When do we have Elliot Bernstein back on?
Elliot, I believe, is coming back on Wednesday.
So he's back with us next week, and I know he's hopefully going to be joining us on Saturday night with Kyler Davenport when we do Where Eagles Soar. But here's a little bit of breaking news from iViewIt. That's Elliot Bernstein's website. Here's a breaking news update. Judges were illegally wiretapped, says Insider. EthicsGate. Targeted judges were named, including New York Supreme Court judges. Now, this is big news, guys. Word from the wise. Don't be on the wrong side of the long arm of the law and justice as this unfolds. Please repost, blog, and pass on, which is what I'm doing, as this is the tip of a very large iceberg of corruption. And we know that just based on our limited conversations that we've already had with Elliot. Now, got to remember this. This is where the feds are turning on judges. And again, judges are going to turn on the feds, and they're going to cannibalize and eat each other. Cain, Abel, eyes, right? So this is not happening by mistake, guys. There are no coincidences here. This is, it's not a coincidence that Zeus struck the Vatican the same night that, that to me is a pretty good calling card, Santo. Zap, get out. That's pretty clear cut, But I did want to mention we also have a caller here. I'm not sure if you're just listening, so I'm just going to ask, and then you guys carry on. I'm just loving this, so I'm just going to caller area code 484. Do you have any questions or comments?
Hi, this is Kiro Gatsu. How are you?
Oh, how are you? Good. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. I was just interested in the topic matter that you were talking about before with Uranus. It was very interesting. Isn't that, like, according to some of the classical myths, that it has a lot to do with chaos, like almost like the first descent of matter, and then chaos follows into it. Now it gets into, that all plays into brainwaves, heartbeats, like the fractal structure of our breathing. Can you comment on any of that with the nervous system? How does that fall in?
Well, you mentioned Uranus. I'm not sure whether I've really grasped your question. Is that to me, by the way?
Yes, it is, dear.
Yeah, I thought so, because of Uranus. I was talking about that, yeah. Okay. Well, see, Uranus means Uranos, heavens. Okay, so in astrology, and if you really want to grasp this, grab some good books on biblical astrology, folks. I'm going to mention them now. Grab a pen and paper, because if you really want to understand where the syncretism that I'm teaching, you might want to grab some of these great books. Key to the Bible and Heaven, Ludwig B. Larson. Ludwig B. Larson. This one's a good one if you want to know about Uranus and the Christ message, that the heavenly aspects of Uranus. My goodness, Uranus is just a magnificent energy. and so is Neptune. This guy calls Neptune the Holy Spirit. He calls Uranus Jesus, and he calls Saturn Satan. Now, as I do, and he claims in this book that those three are the only timekeepers in all of Scripture in the Bible. Those are the three timekeepers, and they are. And I can explain that. But see, Uranus, because he is not in the range of frequencies that the physical eyes can pick up, he is of another octave. He's of another world. You see, what's invisible is of the other world. Yeah. And in fact, if you go out to clear space, now get this: if you go outside of the Earth's magnetosphere or atmosphere, you cannot see the sun. You cannot see the stars. You must be inside of the atmosphere of the Earth for your eyes, not the Hubble telescope, because people are writing to me saying, the Hubble telescope. Yes, the Hubble telescope can see the sun. We can't in clear space. Our eyes cannot see it. So if it is invisible from out in clear space, and it's only visible to this range of frequency that our eyes can see, then what else are we missing out on? Big lesson there, real big lesson. But the ancients always divided these two worlds. The world from the physical senses that we can see that Lucifer brings to us, i.e. those 7 colours of the rainbow and that particular width of the band that we exist in. Above those 7 chakras that we have higher chakras, and that's where Uranus pertains to. And so the return of Uranus in our consciousness in 1781 is very significant, but the fact that he has been installed and Jupiter has resigned, both Popey Poos and Peter Poos resigned within 2 hours of each other on February the 11th. Yeah.
Oh, wait, Santo, I do want to bring another coincidence into this. February 11th was the night they raided me last year. So that was...
Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Is that the same day?
Same day. And it was Kevin Annette's birthday, no less, as well.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, you see the reference now, don't you? Again, there are no coincidences in this universe. We're hermeticists, guys. So here's the thing. Once you have the eyes to see and are willing to accept that reality, we've been taught so long to doubt ourselves. I mean, the true power over a God is making a God think that it has to doubt. And what's happening now is those doubts of the I believe realm are being lifted one by one, where the certainty is moving forward. And this is why everything that we do, everything, it doesn't matter how large or small, collectively, as we do things, not just say and think, but as we manifest our own concepts, our own magic spells, working in conjunction with the holy science and, of course, natural law, hermeticism, this is where entire universes get changed. This is where the butterfly does flap its wings and tsunamis do arise very quickly. And I cannot stress it enough to everyone in the panel and everyone listening, the true power you contain. Never doubt the power of the One, because you are the One. You're the one that we've all been waiting for. And we just need to take responsibility for that. That's all it takes, guys. You know, if not you, then who? It has to be you. There's no out here. And we have to stop running away from our shadows. We have to confront those demons. We have to conjure the goodness out of ourselves instead of the demons. You know, we are both.
But doesn't that kind of go with Luciferianism, as far as the New Age and everything now is you are God, you. Isn't that exactly the opposite? I hear this all the time. It's you, and I'm having a hard time with that.
Well, not everybody understands the whole. Not everybody understands everything from the same perspective. There are a lot of people in the New Age movement that use the higher faculties and the fact that they have much more consciousness than lower-minded people. They don't all use it for the same good ends. I mean, a lot of people believe in the religion of prosperity consciousness, you know,
Right.
and these are material little sneaky imitation, types of realities that people who are more sort of still materially inclined wish to lead people. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I'm not going to condemn that. I mean, because some people really love to have a good couch. They love to have, a great looking house. And why not? We are intelligent. We should be able to design masterpiece homes with our skill and be able to live in them and enjoy them. But the ultimate path is the one that is no longer delighting in any of these things. Therefore, prosperity is only the one, and that is truth and justice, the invisible things. But a lot of people bring this consciousness to the material plane, and they can do that. That's up to them. It's not my business, but it's not what we're doing. Absolutely not. When you recognize that you are God, then you shut up the churches, because they're all about dividing God. One says, no, you've got to come over here to this pedophile church. We teach you about Jesus over here. You won't get saved in the one next door. So the moment those people going to those churches wake up and realize that they are God too, they won't need to divide themselves into names and designations. And which denomination are you from? You're a Christian, are you? And which denomination? Sounds a bit like money, doesn't it, denomination?
Yeah, you see that all the time, constantly. It really does divide a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of division right now, more than I've seen in a long time.
Now, the other thing I see, right, is when you mention, when you mention Lucifer only means the light bearer, right, the light bringer, and it was Venus. It's the planet Venus. Now, and think about this. What you have today with the system that we have is that we have people that have no self-esteem. So we have been raised in a culture where everything is external to us. We have always to ask someone else to validate who we are. And that's from education upwards, right? So you're born and you go to school and then you get tested to see if you give the right answers or not. But I think the truth is within you. And the idea that we're gods, right? And I don't like that word because it's a loaded word, right? The idea that divinity is not inside you, right? To me, that's Satan, because you're it, and then you can read the scriptures, right? And you can interpret them in different ways. But one of them is you are made at the resemblance, right? You're at the image of God. You are it. But to me, that's self-esteem, right? And it's exactly what we were talking when we started the show, that if you don't rely on yourself, then on who do you rely? And then we end up relying on the predators. So the people that set up this system, where today is a sin to recognize your own divinity. Well, is that on our detriment, or is that to help us, or to push us down? And
right, it can be very, very, very confusing.
Well, no, I don't think it's confusing, right? I think it's obvious that it's to destroy your self-esteem. So if you are worthless,
then you rely on an authority to tell you what's your value, right? Then they got you right at the get-go. But
I've done a lot of research on this topic. I'm not a great orator when it comes to speaking of it. I've absorbed a lot over, I'd say, 4 years and some radio shows. But in my own personal journey, it is still very confusing to me because, you have Satan, you have Lucifer, you have all of this, different words, different trickeries. And I'm going to ask you this. Do you believe that there is, well, for lack of a better word, Satan? Is Satan here? Do you believe that?
Oh, absolutely, I do. And he's
a tricker, right? He loves to trick, correct?
Well, that's the divider, right? Like Satan is the judge, simply. He's the questioner, the person that creates division. But it's an allegory. Personally, I don't think there is a creature with horns in a volcano, in a cave somewhere, right, with a trident. I think that's for kids, right? But it has a token or a nugget of truth, right? Is all these, and I think that's the beauty, is that we lost the ability to see or to be able to read or decode the messages from the past. Because you see, today, when we get these books, we're used to take things literally. So, because that's what we're trained to in school, right? They give us these textbooks with multiple choices, and we're physically trained to take things as they're scribed in the book, literally.
And then we have the information overload. And I don't know if you've all experienced that. I mean, just everybody from every nook and every cranny putting a spin on it, including, I've listened to a lot of David Icke and all that kind of, everybody has got a spin on this, right? And it gets back to what you're saying. You have to see the divine in yourself and follow that journey inside.
You see, in alchemy, there's one principle that and fast, right? And he said, at some point, what you have to do is you have to stop relying on others to find the truth, and you have to look within you, because you're the universe. And think about it. That's it. It's literally, what is the center of the universe? From your perspective, you are the center of the universe. Everything revolves around you since the day you were born, isn't it? Literally, from your experience, from your personal experience. You are it. You're the center of the universe. All the galaxies, all the solar systems, everything revolves around you. Now,
and they do say that we come from the stars anyway. Is that not correct? That we are from the stars, literally? That I've heard that a lot. That's what we're made from. That's what we're made from.
Well, just to get out of the physical realm for a sec, I'll try to reword it there. What Jose is saying is some of the most pure truth you will ever hear. In that, from your perspective, from where you are and where you've always been, you are literally the center of the universe, as am I from my perspective, as is everyone from their own. So I do not confuse anything in terms of, we're stardust or anything in the physical sense. What Jose is bringing to the table, and what we like to bring to the table, is that pure aspect of the consciousness, we all being little sparks of the great all spark. And what we are out in different perspectives, having a look at this creation. And again, the bottom line, and Jose has said it, and so was Santo, Tony, myself, and you guys said it so well. When you're looking for an answer, you don't be looking outside of yourself. What you're going to get outside of yourself are the clues. The only answers you are going to find are within. See, because when you close your eyes, nothing else exists but you. And that's where you need to spend time to shut down the Cain mind, the left mind, long enough to allow Abel, the right mind, that's your higher self, to have those floodgates open where the epiphanies and the realizations come in. Anytime you've had an epiphany or an experience that's the eureka or aha moment, that is the moment where your right mind was open and this beautiful truth came into you, because you were willing to accept it. And what we have here, the only resistance that we have to truth is the fact that we're caught up in this meat stick paradigm based on somebody else's concept of what reality is. And what we're doing is we're finally taking back our self-esteem, our removing our self-doubt that has been so ingrained to allow us to have this experience and this game. So again, I urge everyone, do not underestimate the power of you. You are the center of the universe, as am I, and this is how we work together to create this the world we really want to have, not this garbage.
Right, and I think is what you said is true, right? When you go out, it's confusing because you have all these mixed signals and so on, but it's supposed to be like that, right? It's confusing, so you're paralyzed from acting. But at the end of the day, and this is, I always come back to this because I think it's very important, and it's something that I found, and it resonates with, and I know it's true because it resonates with me, is that the truth is self-evident and it's so simple. So at the end of the day, all these Jewish stories, heroic stories of the past, and so on, they're tales to try to explain things, right? And they've been politicized and bastardized, and they have nuggets of truth inside and higher wisdoms and all this. But at the end of the day, reality is so simple. Look around you. Every day you have a beautiful body that knows how to breathe, how to palpitate, how to. I don't know what your age is, whatever it is. It has the wisdom of your body has take you up to here without you knowing how your body works. This is a beautiful mystery. We're here because this is a miracle. And it's divine, and it's the deepest mystery that could be is that you have the privilege to be aware of what is happening and that you're alive, and that's so simple. There is nothing
very
else.
Well said. Very well
like
said.
Wake up in the morning and open your window, and I don't know what you see in your horizon, but let's see you can see the sunrise. Look at that. That's a miracle. And it's simple. That's it. Everything else, everything that is complicated, is made by humans and is deceiving and is deceitful, but it's not true. So stay away from that. At the end of the day, and that's one question that I have for you guys. I'm not very sophisticated when it comes to legalese and all this, but I see all this system, and the first thing I think of, right, when I think about all these, the laws and the created by the church and all this, and I think in Alice in Wonderland and the trial of Alice, and you have this king, and he's a madhouse, right, and I don't know if you remember Rule 42, which is basically the king tries to make up rules, right? And he makes the first rule in the book, which is Rule 42, which says all persons more than a mile high to leave the court. But it's arbitrary, right? It's these psychopaths have the power to make up these complicated and nonsensical rules out of nothing, because people believe that they have power, and they do have power, and they have talks with weapons. So to me, all these things is complicated, and if in 1302 they came up with this bull and all these things, to me that's Rule 42. And today, yes, they're pedophiles, but they can come up with a Rule 43 that says, yeah, and pedophiles go to heaven or whatever is that they want, right? Because it's a madhouse, but it's made for you to be deceived. That's what it is. It's complicated on purpose. So you're swamped, and what you were saying, with information overload.
Well, I study the UCC 1 and 2, and most of my remedies I find in there, but the legalese is very difficult by design. They hide the remedy, but the remedy is there, and it's definitely, from what I could tell, in the UCC 1 and the UCC 2. And most people do not know the law of the seas, and they don't realize that they're slaves. They don't realize they're traded on the stock market.
I think there is only one, that is don't do to others what you don't want them to do to you. That's the only rule in my book. And I don't think you need any other rule.
We don't, but when the man comes to your door and he's banging with a warrant, and then you're,
No, absolutely. Once you've
got to be in the real world with that.
No, that's not the real world, right? Like the real world is the sunsets and in the morning, in the afternoons, right? And the sun rises in the morning. And the birds tweeting in the morning. The legalese and the courts and all this, that's a mind game based on coercion, right? And on the false idea that authority exists. And that's a collective idea. But that's not the real world. And it can be quite real, right? And at the end of the day, the more people that believe in this, the more it affects you. And I think that's what we're trying to do here, right? To show to people that thing is Rule 42, right? It's a madhouse, and it makes no sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the answer to life is 42, so just a coincidence there. But again, it's so poignant. You took the words out of my mouth there, Jose, with, what is the real world? The real world is certainly not that construct that they've built around us, where they prance around in their pretty black robes, and their shiny badge uniforms, and their 9 penis extensions and what have you. That's not the real world. That's the world they want you to make real. But no. It's got to a point now where we've had enough, and the people are rising, the people are awakening. And one other point I want to make with regards to just lost it. Something you guys had said earlier, and I was just going to address it, but no worries. Bottom line is this: the world is what we make of it, and we are the masters of our own destiny. And we each have a chosen role, and it just so happens that this is what I chose to do in order to help bring in my own way to bring about change in this reality, so that it the foolishness, the sheer utter insanity of it gets removed. That's basically all I need to say.
Absolutely.
Agreed. For myself, I'm tied up in the legal courts because we had done a radio show too, and we were exposing a lot of corruption within the school district, the police department, and we got a lot of attention. And then they were on our property under the Patriot Act, and then they went after my 13-year-old son, and they really did a bang-up job on us. And I, immediately recognized that the public defender was certainly not on my side, and he was in common purpose cahoots with the judge and the prosecutor. And we have so many brothers and sisters in the jail system right now with these actors who put them in there. And I can only say for myself, trying to get out of this hole that they dug for me has been remedy with the UCC 1 and 2. That's it. Every time I've seen someone properly do the right steps, we get them out of jail. Because as much as an illusion as everything might sound, when you're sitting there in that, and you should know, when you're in solitary confinement and you're in there and you're by yourself, it seems oh so real.
Yeah, totally. I'm not sure what's happening, but I think we've dropped off the line there. Can anybody hear me in the chat room at the moment?
I'm already all over it, so don't worry about it.
Fair play.
I've got Jose dropped off, so I'm calling him back in, trying to get him to rejoin the call there. But we've got about 18 minutes here. Oops, another problem with the call. Can you hear me, Tony?
Absolutely. Yep, loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah. Jose is trying to call. Here, let me just do it again. All failed. Anyway, I'll try to get him back. I thought I did have him in there, but nope, no such luck. And let me try this again. And here we go. Oh. You can't rejoin the where are we here? Where did you go? You can't just call me back. It's not possible. There. Why don't we just do this? There we go. Hopefully that'll bring him in. Anyway, Santo, any other comments? We got about 15 minutes left.
Well, I was thinking about the movie Shrek all along when the caller was. Is the caller still there? The woman,
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, well, what's your name? Sorry.
Pierrot.
Pierrot.
Pierotte. Pierrot. That's Sue.
Pierrot. Wow. You were talking there about the real world, and Jose was replying. The film Shrek. I don't know whether I'm pretty sure you would know, Kate. You're aware of the true meaning underlying that film, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'm back.
There you go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Carry on, Santo.
Yeah, so I remembered that, and how, of course, there was always a hero to have to deal with, just like David and Goliath. We have this Goliath, but it's we who are David. Anyway, but the thing is, there's always this hero, and he's got to get rid of this monster because there's a fiction going on. Remember the king? He was gathering tax from fictional creatures that really don't exist. So, I mean, how clear is that message? And see, the remedy is in the film. You just deal with the monster.
Oh, exactly. And then when you look at the actual height of the king, I mean, these are metaphoricals and allegories that are blatantly in your face. And of course, the children's movies are the best to find this stuff. It's quite astonishing when you have your eyes open. But I mean, you've got I think it was John Lithgow played the king in that. A perfect character voice for that. But here it was, a very short king, not much taller than the gingerbread man, and trying to wield all this power. And you're right, they were, trying to get taxes and control a world of fictional characters. The allegory is just rife all through the Shrek movies.
Yeah, I agree. I see it all the time in children's shows that are on. I mean, once you start seeing the signs, you can see them everywhere. I mean, in commercials and everything. They're just blatant. They're everywhere.
Yeah, the thing with that, though, is you've got one side that say it's the Illuminati and they're dark and they're evil. Oh, yeah, there is. There is, too. But then there's the other side that see it as the controlling mechanism, getting in there and corrupting people, and they do. But it's neither good or bad. It's happening. It's happened. It's the world that we inherited. We were sleeping. We were caught sleeping. So, there's the forgiveness of all of this. Well, you don't even need to forgive. There's nothing to forgive. It's everyone that has committed these atrocities and has had a part of this fictional world were conscripted due to ignorance, and we lovingly have to let go of that side of us now. What we see out there is reflected inside of us. It's a mirror in the universe. It mirrors what's in there. And I've said this before, one day when bliss will reign out there, it will also reign in there, and those two will meet on the horizon, if they haven't already, but they will meet on the horizon because it's up to us. If it ain't fixed out there, it ain't fixed in there. And so we've still got a little bit of work to do, perhaps.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
And it's all good. This is the thing. This is all part of the experiential. And again, you said it so many times. Everyone said it so many times tonight. The answers that you're looking for, if you could just shut your brain up enough, long enough to sit and just be silent, The answers are within. It's just we're too busy trying to figure it out from a left mind, ego program, physical universe perspective, trying to think, well, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next? Well, what you need to do next is you need to shut up. Because the answer is there, but you're just too busy trying to figure it out using a broken calculator. Anything involved in the physical universe, to me, is like a calculator with a stuck down 5. Oh, you'll get a lot of equations right as long as you don't use the number 5 in your equations. But the second you use the 5 key that's broken, your answer is wrong. And that's effectively what the 3D universe is to me, a broken calculator. 1 or 2 broken numbers, and yeah, we'll get most of it right because we're still dealing with most of the other numbers, but we'll still get enough wrong to keep us in this little spin cycle. Oh, that was the point I wanted to quickly jump on with regards to the New Age groups and what have you. You see, one of the tools that gets used a lot in the divide and conquer is make something that is absolute bullshit mimic something that is absolute truth enough to get people divided. So, and we're talking people that aren't quite there yet, that can see the beautiful. Look what they did with the churches. There's enough beautiful resonance in the love and what gets sold as being real that attracts people there, but they never deliver the goods when you're there. And that's exactly what a lot of the New Age movements are all about. That's why I don't profess to belong to any group whatsoever. I am an anarchist, pure anarchy, anu-arch-key. That's me.
Yeah, way to go. Way to go. Yeah, be the law.
I'm not out to anyone.
Be self-reliant, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, be the law.
Exactly, and I do know how to grow food, and I do know how to light a fire with or without matches. I do know how to survive. I do know how to help take care of others. And this is a responsibility we need to take upon ourselves. It's not just important that you can look after you. Oh, good. Perfect. Self-serving ego. Excellent. Kind of what we're already in. How about we start adopting the viewpoint of, well, I have this skill and this skill that can help myself and so many others. And start adopting that perspective, and you'll find others, once they start adopting it as well, will bring other skills to the table. And then you're going to start having what is actually called community. Isn't that cool? And we all get to share with the knowledge and, go back to the way it used to be, in that we were studiers of all things in the community, not specializing and getting compartmentalized into, being a specialist. There's nothing more ridiculous and more ignorant than someone who specializes in only one thing. They know nothing else about anything else. So how can they have a perspective? So that's why we choose to look at everything. I don't claim to be an expert in anything. I just claim to have a look at everything. That's all.
Absolutely. The other one is the idea that you get progress by competition, which is incredible, right? Imagine that we want to build a skyscraper, let's say, and you have 5 groups, and each of the groups is on their own corner trying to build the highest skyscraper, right, and trying to sabotage the other 4 groups. Imagine that scenario, and now imagine another scenario where the 5 groups come together with a common goal of building the highest skyscraper, and out of those 2 scenarios, which one is, of those 2 realities, which one is going to have the highest skyscraper at the end of the day? The people who cooperated. It's so obvious, right? Like, divide and conquer. It doesn't work. But in our society, competition is mythified, right, and rewarded. And everything you see is, even you turn on the television, and cooking has become is about the competition, right? Who makes the best food? It's like they make all these tests of everything. But think about it, like the merit of winning is your joy of seeing other people lose. It's completely upside down, but it's part of what we have, right? This idea that you compete with others and not to cooperate.
Totally.
I couldn't agree more, Jose. And yeah, that is the bane of society. In that we are in order to win, someone must lose. But no, that paradigm is gone. Well, in my universe, this is about win-win. How can I affect a change that helps someone else and myself at the same time? We do have one other caller in, area code 417. If you got any questions or comments, we got about 8 minutes left here. Actually, just over 7 minutes. So jump in. What's on your mind?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Kate. I just called in because it sounds better on my phone, and I came in late, so I guess I missed the show.
Well, the good news is you can download it within about 10 minutes once we're off the air and catch it. This has been a good one. I'd highly recommend it.
Excellent. Yeah, I will say one thing that I found a group that somebody had recommended to me. It's called NotACitizen.com, and I found it very interesting that they've got Santos on there. They recommend Santos. They recommend Dean Clifford. And it seems like all the groups are starting to really start to work together. So that's good news.
That's great news. That's exactly the way it should be, and that's exactly what we're trying to build. So, no, that's awesome. No, I can't say it enough, guys. We stand together, or we fall alone. And many of us have stood alone for a very long time here, and it's nice to see finally everyone coming to the same hilltop and seeing the view that we've had for a while. And we stand together, shoulder to shoulder. This is not about, let's find a leader and follow them. No, this is about leading yourself by your own example. The only change that can ever happen in the universe is the one you decide to have for yourself. And that's all we're trying to do, is give you back your God status. You are a creator God in the most infinite sense and the most intimate sense. And we just got duped out of it. Time to change that, and that's all we're trying to do.
Absolutely. I can't. You've no idea what those words mean. I say you haven't. Of course you do, but most people don't understand the magnitude of that. We've been standing alone for long enough. It's so beautiful just to see people standing up with us instead of against us, as in your face. And crikey, let's do it. And let's do it together.
Well, I would recommend this group to anybody that's, especially in Britain or the States or Canada and maybe Australia for that, that are having legal problems, because if they've got TalkShoe and they've got a website, and if you'll listen to about the last 4 TalkShoes, they take everything. They don't go into those courts. They do everything privately, and they do everything in love and respect, and they're getting results.
That's exactly
right.
What happened. Santo, before we end the show here, Santo, I wanted you to mention what Bob had said during the Italian show. I thought it was very poignant, where one of the documents that has been put together, the courtesy notice from Opt, that went into the Canadian Supreme Court.
Yeah. The judge was shocked and remained silent, and then said that he would give a decision via email. Had to think about it. Via email.
Yeah, didn't want it on the public record. That's a document that scared the living shit out of someone. And the fact that they retreated so quickly, basically called the case and said he would give his ruling via email. That's very telling.
Do we have any information about what that document was at all, Santo?
Yeah, it's the courtesy document, yeah?
Yeah, the courtesy notice that Opt have put together that brings the mano a mano back into the fore, where it's not you against the corporation, it's you against making the other living soul accountable. To great detriment if they don't.
That's what I just did. That's filing your UCC 1 and 2 and putting probate bonds out. That's just what I just got done. I flew back from Texas doing. There's your remedy.
It's slightly different than that, and I know where you're coming from, having studied UCC and actually pretty much everything across the board. There are remedies that are going to work temporarily for now. What we're looking for is exactly what's happening. And yes, they do have to stand within their own rules. And I'm glad that you got the result you were after with UCC. because I know a lot of people in the past have used it and have got themselves into a lot of trouble not knowing.
Yeah, you have to do it right.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly. Yeah.
Just real quick, because this is going out. Within this group, there was a guy that was under attack by the IRS for about $400,000, and he would only communicate privately with the judge, and he did it through letters. And they sent out 4 marshals to his house, and they offered him the purpose. They were there to offer him to get a federal attorney, and he says, "No, I can't do that. Just go back to the court, tell them that I can't do that." But they did all throughout the whole thing. He only wrote private letters, and he put a stamp on it, signed across the stamp, and put his thumbprint on it and read. And they didn't do it on one thing, and that was the only thing that made it into the public record. And when they found it out, he wrote another letter and apologized to the judge and asked him to take it out of the record, the public record, and the judge had it done, and the case just went away.
Mhm.
Again, handling things in peace. Well, we're down to the last minute here, guys, so I just want to get a couple of last words from Jose Barrera and Santo Bonacci. Thank you, Paul, Lisa, crew from Critical Mass Radio for giving us this platform. Jose, Santo, Tony, you guys can close her out here.
Well, thank you so much for having me again. I have a lot to learn about these legalese and all this. I find it fascinating. And same thing, always one idea. Truth is simple. To me, that's the most important thing, is the truth is simple. And remember Rule 42 from Alice in Wonderland. Last chapter.
Awesome.
Excellent. What's your website, Jose?
JoseMariaBarrera.com. Easier to look for Jose Barrera and Magic, and you'll find me.
Excellent. And thanks for joining us, mate. It's been wonderful. And we'll do it again soon, yeah?
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Santo, final words?
Yep, take care, everybody, and we win.
Indeed.
David and Goliath. Yeah, we win.
All right. Again, and Tony, you want to close off, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, carry on. It's all good. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And, we're getting there. We're really getting there. Finally. So keep your chin up and watch this space, and we'll have some more news as soon as Santos or anybody else has got some. Cheers, guys.
Exactly. Keep your chin up and their nose to the grindstone. It seems to work a lot better that way. Again, thanks for tuning in to Cosmic Blueprints here on Critical Mass Radio. Thanks again, as I said earlier, to Paul, Lisa, and the crew for giving us this platform in order to bring some most wonderful guests and truth to your ears, your living rooms, your homes, your cars, wherever. Thank you again for tuning in tonight, to all the beautiful people listening, because I know you're awake. That's why you're here. And thanks, callers, for calling in and making the difference. Remember, we do this together, and we do it for each other. We don't do it for ourselves. We do it for everyone else. And once we get that knowledge working, this world changes very quickly. We have won, no question. Much love to everybody, and we'll catch you tomorrow night. We have Tammy Pepperman and Pat. Wish I knew how to pronounce her last name. I believe it's Julie. On tomorrow night with Leaving the Farm, her premiere show. I would highly recommend you tune in, and I will be there as well. I'm sure Tony will show up and what have you. But don't forget, tomorrow night is going to be an amazing night, as hopefully they always are for you. Much love. Take care. Chat tomorrow.